Yeah, it's a really important question you've asked, and we get it a lot. And it's one that I think we can try and bring some clarity to today, because once you go down one path, it's very difficult and expensive to back out of that.
Welcome back to the channel. David Graham from Shadow Site, talking all things insider risk. Joining me today will be one of the members of the team, and we'll be discussing the differences between an insider risk management platform and a data loss prevention tool. So stick around and we'll see you in a moment. So Chris, welcome. Today we're going to talk about insider risk management platforms and how they differ from data loss prevention tools. Now, we see a lot of organisations using DLP tools, and historically that has been the case. There's been a real shift we've noticed lately in CISOs and information security people coming to us and asking us about insider risk management platforms. So today I was hoping you could share with us some of your experiences and perhaps some of your conversations with those folk around the differences between the two products.
Yeah, it's a really important question you've asked, and we get it a lot. And it's one that I think we can try and bring some clarity to today, because once you go down one path, it's very difficult and expensive to back out of that. What we've seen is a lot of organisations over the years having a perceived insider risk or data leakage problem, and it's just simply implementing a DLP tool and ticking that box, and that's done. And I think that was probably okay 5 years ago, but we've moved on, and lots of things have changed. Working from home, the way business is so dynamic now, and so forth. So in a lot of cases, we see DLP tools, probably not the greatest fit. But what are they? So a data leakage prevention tool, and the word prevention is really important here. We can talk about that in a sec. But a data leakage prevention tool is very data centric. It's focused on the data, and I think you made the point to me last week around the data, that if you get it a bit wrong, if it's not classified correctly, or you don't know where the data is, the wheels start to fall off very quickly from that particular solution.
Yeah.
And so, you need to make sure that all of those things are integrated and dovetailed together for that DLP tool to have a chance to work. They're very much endpoint and to some degree network focused. So it's looking at that very raw, very black and white binary activity and assessing that. And of course, they're very focused on blocking. And this is where the word prevention comes in. They're very focused on blocking. Having said that, very, very few CISOs will switch on that blocking function, because it's a real sledgehammer. If you get it wrong and you're blocking activity that should be going through to a customer or something like that, you really slow the business down.
Yeah, that's very important, very important. What we must always do is allow the business to keep moving forward with pace.
Very much so. And so you asked, what's the difference between them? And an insider risk management platform, or an IRM tool, as we tend to call them, is the scope is very different. They're two very, very different solutions. So an IRM tool is very much focused on behaviours and bringing in context about what the users are doing. It's looking at all of those in context and having a more of a proactive approach. So whereas a DLP tool is more of a sledgehammer, see that very binary activity, block it or stop it or send a warning to the user, where that can result in lots of alerts. The insider risk tool is more understanding what the context and moving with the business, moving. So it's more of a very much a human-centric approach. DLP tools more data-centric, insider risk tools are more human-centric. We understand and we work with the people.
Interesting. So the insider risk management platform perhaps understands more about the business and the people than a DLP tool does, and can bend and flex its enforcement of risk accordingly.
That's right. And I guess where we saw it, particularly throughout COVID and throughout those, where there were really dynamic changes to businesses, was when the business did have to change quickly, and the DLP tools honestly had no hope of keeping up. There was so much change and so much user activity and data activity was different that alerts went through the roof with a lot of these tools, and they just were ignored. So I guess you and I, for when we're looking at talking to CISOs and looking at these types of solutions, nowadays we almost always would recommend an inside risk management tool. Now, it depends on the nature of the business and the risk and so forth, but it does tend to be a much more of a proactive, holistic solution rather than a DLP tool.
Fantastic. Well, thanks again, Chris. It's been great having you chat to us again on this episode. No doubt I'll call upon you to join us for another one very soon. But in the meantime, if anyone has any queries or questions, please reach out and we'd be only too happy to answer them at shadowsight.io. Thanks again, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, David.